Mackowiak.
One thing has been established. I know everybody loves me. They let me know that
Yes, if y'all don't know he loves you, he loves you.
appreciate it. It's so great. What a surprise to have my beautiful daughter that make it here to be here with us. I would like for her just to stand and give a word of testimony.
And he's not talking to you, Chad.
Go ahead, baby.
Glad to be here. You guys just remember Michael. Abby and him are very private, but he needs healing.
Yes.
Remember Chad's family. We have a really close family friend that we found out that the sister, the mother and father kind of helped raise Chad when his parents weren't there, and the mother's sister shot herself last night, or yesterday morning. So just pray for them. Like, she's got kids my age and grandbabies my kids' age, and I can't imagine going through that with my mother. So just keep them in your prayers and keep us in your prayers too. Our family needs guidance on where we're going and what we're doing. So, amen.
I mean, love the Mackowiak family. You have guidance, sweetheart. Right here where you at is where you belong.
Amen.
Hey, Dad.
Church.
Amen.
You respond.
Sorry.
Why must we be a prisoner of war? Now, some of you are going to think right off the bat, the pastor's going to be talking about POWs. No, not today. POWs means prisoners of war. People that were left, or people that were, while war is going on, they become prisoners of war. But today I want to bring your attention that there are saints that love God, that are very faithful, that do everything that they know to please God. Not man, but to please God. There are folks that you may judge and think, well, they're not living up to my standards, they're not living up to this. Listen, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about folks that love God. And they're in different categories. They may not be in your category, but they're in the category that they understand. The relationship, Brother Johnson, between them and God. But there is a war, and the Bible talks about it, and Paul talks about it, that fights within humanity want to live for God, and between good and evil. And that war can confuse individuals to the point that, I don't know what to do. There are times that I've done everything that I can do, and am I doing things right? You're doing exactly what God has asked you to do. If you're faithful to Him, you can't go wrong.
Amen.
But I want to talk about why must we be prisoners of war? Why must we? Remember this title. Why must we be prisoners of war? When God came into our life, Sister Johnson, He set us free from the bondage and addictions of sin. Do we return to them from time to time? Don't lie to yourself, you do. That's the war that I'm talking about that comes in between you. Paul brought it to the point that where I would do right, evil will appear. And I don't understand why I would respond to it, to the fact that, I did wrong.
Right.
Stop judging yourself. This is the problem. Stop being so harsh on yourself, and just remember that mercy and grace will follow you all the days of your life. Mercy and grace does not license you just to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But there are times that prison of war that's within you, church, to the point that you're thinking, man, I just can't get it right. And Gretchen, you're my daughter. You know I love you how. I love my daughters. But you're always going to be Sister Monica to me. And to the church. Brother and Sister Monica.
Amen.
I know I love Brother Darcy, but I guess he just can't get clicked. The Monica, it's not Chad. It's I'm saying? We just, but it's human. That's okay. I'm not picking on Brother Darcy. I'm not throwing rocks at him.
It's Chad.
It's Chad.
It's Chad, your dad.
I know that, Brother Darcy. But the fact is, God has called them to be our brothers and sisters.
Amen.
And I'm not saying it, but I would say it about your children as well. But the war that comes in between us is tradition and all the things that we've been taught all our lives that bring barriers. Can I say it that way? That bring barriers to the point is the fact is, okay, Sister Bennett, we can only go this far because we've established barriers in our life. That's a war. Why do we have barriers? We're not supposed to have barriers. We're supposed to be loving, forgiving, and kind, understanding, and walking beyond that barrier. Racial cultures become barriers. Right? Jobs, anything that's between you and God, in a relationship between you and God, is a barrier.
Right.
Right?
And that barrier could be a physical element.
Right.
It could be a mental element.
Right.
It breaks into a lot of areas. There are people that want to be here today, but because of physical elements was beyond their control. Can I put it that way? You cannot be blamed for a physical element that comes to you that you did not control, that you did not bring upon yourself. I have a war, and so does Sister Darcy, different ones of diabetes. We fight that war every day. Get our weight under control, get this and that, okay? There's different barriers in our life that bring a war and makes us prisoners of war. You do not need to take a backseat to the devil. You're supposed to be over him and better than him. You don't have to take and be a prisoner to the conversations and to the accusations of people. Do not let the words of people prison you.
Yep.
I learned a long time ago from a very wise man that he loves God. A very wise bishop. And he told me, he said, Brother Mackowiak, you're a great man. I want you to know that. But you have a flaw. And I'm like, oh dear God. What did God show me? What did God show me, Brother Bennett? Because I was hiding things, not sin. So let's clear that. You know what I'm talking about, brother?
Johnson?
No, I know, brother. Brother Holt, they know what I'm talking about. Very, very smart, wasn't he? Very intelligent, very wise man. He told me, he said, Brother McCoy, you're a great man. And your ministry is going to go far. And at that time, Sister Johnson, we were all going to church, and I'm like, how far is it going to go? I'm not doing so hot, right? But he says, there's one thing, can I give you a word of advice? I said, sure. I mean, and I realized, we all have room for improvement. And he says, you let people incarcerate you with their words. Now, gentlemen, y'all know what they're saying. Brother Ben just told me the other day, would you stop worrying, Pastor? Everything's going to be all right. I'm still fighting that battle every day. Some of you, your past becomes a war to you. You expressed it in your testimony. Some beautiful testimony. And I believe that was a point in your life that you were able to get that thing off your chest. There are weights, Sister Hornsby, that causes us to weigh us down. And I'm not talking about our mistakes. Let's get this, let's rule that out. I'm talking everyday things that we just don't meet up to. Sister Whitney, you just don't meet up to it. It's just quite they're expecting you to be this, but you're this. It's not your fault, sweetheart, because of everything that's come in your life that was beyond your control.
Right.
Sometimes in our life, I haven't even got to my scripture yet, but I know I'm hitting somewhere. I'm hitting something good today. Sometimes I'll go to the mailbox. And I'm like, wow, I forgot about that bill.
Yeah.
So that bill didn't meet up, Brother Hornsby, into my budget that I was going to do that week. And all of a sudden, it hit me by surprise. How am I going to take care of this, man? You've been through that process. See, we're right on track. How you doing, buddy? I wish I could grow up here like this. But the fact is, we go through life, and Sister Trinity, it hits us unaware. And we're like, wow. We expect everybody to be here at the house of God. And then when someone's missing, we're like, well, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong. They're just going through life and something hit them unexpected. It's not that they've done anything wrong. It's just life.
Yes, sir.
We must not be prisoners of war. We must be victors of war. When you're a prisoner of the battle that we do, that means that you cannot fight. But when you're victorious in your walk with God, that becomes you're a victor over the war. We may lose the battle from time to time, guys, but it doesn't mean we've lost the war.
Amen. Right.
As long as there is breath in your life, Brother Dennis Herron, there's hope that you're going to be victorious through your life.
Right.
Well, Pastor, you don't understand. I deal with things. Yes, I do understand, my friend. What I may understand that you may not know I understand, that you are a human being.
Right.
I fall sometimes. Well, join the club. Join the Fall Man Club. We all fall from time to time.
Amen.
Because we are human. Every day that you get up, you look into the mirror. You may not like what you see from time to time. And there's times I don't. Sometimes, Brother Hornsby, I'm thinking, what kind of man have I become? Oh yes, I'm labeled this and I'm labeled that. But deep inside, there are things that war in my life that is unheard of. And I wonder from time to time, God, am I doing the perfect will of you? He says, as long as you love me, you're in my perfect will.
Right.
Let me turn your attention to 1 Timothy. Chapter 1, 18 and 19 verse. I do apologize for the screen. My wife and my son, they're working on a Christmas program, so they had to take it. So I'm just glad that you have your Bibles with me today.
What's, repeat that verse in chapter again.
That'd be 1 Timothy, the first chapter, 18th verse and 19th verse. I'll give you a moment if you would stand for the honor of the reading of God's word. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate the choice that you made today. You made a good choice because you're going to hear the word of God. If you have to say amen.
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 Aye. The charge I commit unto thee, son Timothy, according to the prophecies which went before on thee, that thou by them mightest war a good warfare, holding the faith and of good conscience, which some having put away concerning faith have made shipwreck. Brother, you pray.
Lord Jesus, we just ask you right now that you would just bless our pastor. Lord, that you would open up the word to our hearts and our minds, that you would allow us, Lord, to receive what you placed on the pastor's heart, and that we would receive it with gladness and apply it to everyday life, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
God bless you. You may be seated. What's that? Fix this. You don't mind, right? I will not be long today. Oh wow, I've heard that before, Pastor. For an hour and a half last couple of Sundays. You know, I love you guys, right? We all know that. We've established that a couple times.
God, here we go.
Can we say 45 minutes he loves us?
Yeah.
I love you.
But the fact,
Take your
and
medicine.
yeah, thank you. When you take your medicine, you
One of these days it's going to happen to one of us.
yeah, it'll click. It always is, because we are humans. We will never forget when we do something wrong, right?
Amen.
We'll always remember that. Or it's not really be wrong, or if we made a mistake, or if we, got an error there. But these men, it's not, by no means are they disrespecting me. They're just being men. And men have to have, right, Dennis, Brother Heron? We've got to have broad shoulders, and we got to have tough skin.
Right.
Camaraderie.
I told my son, I said, you're going into the work world. And Brother Manica, right? He's going into the work world, so you can't be sensitive.
Nope. Sure can't.
Wow, that hit over real good.
Not if you get paid.
If you want to get paid. Somebody says something about your mama, you got to let that go. Then after work, maybe you can say, hey, what'd you say about my mama?
Right.
And you'll notice that they said, I didn't say anything. Yeah, you did. Then you can take it from there. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying. You got people in the work business that'll hit you with a belt, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It happened to me.
I mean, but you gotta be tough skinned, and you got to be tough when you're fighting war, when you're in a battle with war and within yourself. Again, I'm not talking about wars of natural wars, I'm talking of spiritual wars.
Yes.
That we deal with on a daily basis.
Yes.
And you know you do.
Right.
There are days, if you would be honest with me, you be honest with yourself. You don't really have to be honest with me. Be honest with yourself, be honest with God. It was a battle for you to come here today.
Yep.
You fought.
Always. Always.
Am I right, church? You know, you're nodding your head because you know I'm right.
Yep.
There was a battle to the fact is that, man, they could just miss me this Sunday and I'll be good. Be careful, don't convince yourself, because we miss you every time you're gone. But God misses you more.
Right.
Because there's something that can be said that will help you on life's journey. And we are in a journey, whether you understand that or not. We have a journey every day, what we deal with. 2 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, 3 and 4. I will be going through a couple of scriptures to maybe enlighten you of what Paul's perception of the war that we deal with in life. And I'm telling you, if any man that dealt with a war in his life was Paul. If you are not aware, Paul at one time used to deliver letters, and he held the coat of Stephen when they stoned him. Paul hung on to tradition, Brother Hornsby, to the point that we'll kill to keep it alive.
Yeah.
Paul held on to the Judaism, to the fact is that it was all ritual practices. And what I mean by ritual, I don't mean like voodoo or anything like that. I mean the same old thing, the same old way that we did 20 years ago. No, life changes, you have to change. The principle of your life of living for God doesn't change, but the way you bring things. And here we got Paul upholding that tradition. Here we got Jesus coming on the scene. Here we got this thing, all the disciples, and they're doing everything contrary to the traditional things of Judaism. Am I saying that right? And Paul felt in his heart that he was doing right. So he says, we're going to get rid of these Jesus fanatical people. And we're going to wipe them off of the face of the earth because I don't understand this. We want to override the oppressor, which Roman at times were the oppressor then, Brother Darce. They were the people there that were oppressing the people. My lands. Contrary to some people. different presidents, different people, different ones that we don't agree to, oppresses us sometimes. Somebody didn't like the former president. Somebody don't like the president today. Da 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 da. You go to Russia and make that kind of expression. And I just found out, my brother Stumble, we sat, Sister Manica, and we talked for a long time. What an oppressed country. What a country that's crazy. You talking about a war within one's humanity, within themselves. These people are just totally ridiculous. You could be walking in the streets, Brother Hornsby. This is what the man was telling me. It's gave me the expression, or give me the, I'll think up here in a minute. You ever get words that catch you? The inspiration is what I meant to say. To preach this today. But people can walk through just like we do, like we go to malls and what have you. You can look at somebody wrong, and if you're looking at the wrong person, they go tell a government issue, and next thing you know, you've been interrogated in a little room. I asked him, and I told him, Sister Manica, I said, look, I said, how is it over here? He said, it's horrible. Now, when the families come together, they're able to relieve themselves as far as being happy. But when they're around government, people, soldiers, I don't know if they call them policemen over there. They're just tyrants, really. They're just mean people. You look at a soldier, and he was telling me, he said, Pastor Mike, they're carrying M16s. It's not like a little pistol. You talk about intimidating. And they're driving big black USB tinted windows. Anytime they could just run up to you, grab you, Sister Johnson. Your husband ain't got nothing to say. Just grab you, take you to an interrogating room, and well, we heard this. That sounds like some of the churches I attend to. Just grab you, take you without any reason. I cannot believe that people live in such a country. And I told Brother Stumble, I said, man, I said, how do you feel? And he said, Brother Mackowiak, they like me because I'm a foreigner. But the people that are there, the native people, those that live there, they treat them with oppression. To the fact is that they're so scared to even speak among each other. Can you imagine living that life? The suicidal rate, Sister Manica, I keep calling you, you don't mind me that, right, babe? I love you. The suicidal rate is somewhere, Brother Bennett, of 70% of people suicide. That's high. The alcoholism addiction. Look, I'm talking about prison wars, man. I mean, really war. Their age limit to drink alcohol. Somebody want to take a guess at it?
16.
Somebody told you, or you just know? Good age. I mean, good guess, not good age.
12.
16. 16 years old. By the time, Brother Manica, that they become adults, they're already in an addiction. They're already on the streets. Their parents make their children leave the home at the age of 12. Their kids are living in the streets, defending for themselves. He told me, he said, Brother Mac, I want you to see this YouTube video. And he called it The Children of Hendigans, or something like that. I'm not really for sure. I know I got it listed. But they're a part of a country, of a city. And the kids are sniffing glue. They live on the train tracks without any kind of parental guidance at all. You talking about war within oneself. And the government just sweeps it away as if nothing is happening and ignores it. If someone had a physical, Brother Darth's element in Russia, like retardation, Down syndrome, things that we deal with, with children, they're taken away from their parents and they're put into a community like
It's a big facility.
yeah, they're separated from the public. Like a concentration camp, so to speak. He's telling me about this. I said, oh, dear God. Where is love? Where is mercy? Where's forgiveness? Where is understanding? Compassion? I said, dear God, I dare to ask any more questions with you. I mean, man, you're telling me this within their own race. But anyone else other than their race is dogs to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, their Caucasian race is superior. You talk about oppression. You talk about, Brother Johnson, ridiculous.
Very ridiculous.
God loves every race.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
I do. Because the love of God is in me. How can you say you love somebody and you judge them because of their color, their skin? How can you say you're a God-fearer? But he was talking to me about that. We sat down last Wednesday, Sister Johnson, and we sat down and we talked. Tears came in my eyes, and I thought to myself, how can people live in such an environment? You talking about a prisoner of war. They are prisoners within themselves. And he tells me, he says, Brother Mackowiak, my heart goes out to them because I want them to understand we must love everybody. We must have compassion. And he took a church, and I kid you not, you could judge them all you want. But he took a church, and right off the bat, because he followed after God, he came from somewhere, his family, to 100 and something people in his church immediately.
120 people walked in one day.
One day. 100, if this is a true statement.
120 people.
You know why? Because Whitney, they probably seen something that man was preaching that, listen, at least for a couple of hours we can come together and not be oppressed. We can come together and feel some kind of liberty about it, some kind of love, some kind of compassion.
Amen.
Just for that couple of hours, of that moment, we don't have to be a prisoner of war. In some countries, if people feed you and you do not eat of their food, you offend them.
Yeah, well,
In a lot of third world countries, they believe in family. They believe that families should come together. You're not going to see them abusing their children. And we don't have no babies here, right? There ain't no one there raping their children. But in Russia, this thing happens. This is a common thing. And nothing is to be said. And nothing is to be done. The government rules that country. God forbid we ever get to the point where we let politicians and different ones rule our lives to the point that we can't even. In North Korea, you need to wise up to some of these things and see what's going on in your world today. North Korea, a young lady was slain in the street, Sister Wright, to death. Not only was she killed, but before she killed, they dragged her family there and killed them first so she could see it, and killed her for watching a Hollywood movie. She might have watched Shrek. You talking about an oppression. You talking about a war within oneself. That is crazy. That's beyond me. I thought to myself, dear God, I know we're having some hard times, but to actually know that this stuff is going on. I'm not telling you something that happened in the 18th century. I'm telling you something that's happening now.
Come on.
In our millennium, in our time.
Our generation.
Preacher told me one time, he said, oh, that execution stuff don't happen no more. Maybe not in America, Patty. We need to wake up and look at the other countries. It's happening every day.
Yeah.
Oh, people are not being martyred. Yes, they are. People
Yes,
are
they
still
are.
being martyred today.
Amen.
Don't fool yourself. I'll think outside the box once again. There are those that maybe not be of our faith, but they're being martyred as well.
Right. Yes, sir.
Because they stand up for Christ. Because they refuse to come to the point that they're going to deny their Savior. Where do we stand at, we of the faith? Can I say that? When the individuals alone are saying, I'd rather die than deny my Lord. I'm still talking about a war that's within ourselves. I'm sure that many have seen the starting pictures of our brave American soldiers, frightening faces staring into the Iraq soldiers interrogating them. Stories of horrible atrocities are being told of brutally abused and disabled treatments is being told. How many have ever heard of, what is that? The prison that they put them in, brother? Yeah. Where they have put them in one day, and then another place they call, I'm trying to think of that name. But it's where Bush had, yes.
Oh.
Yes, where they were putting those in prisoners of war. And these prisoners were wanting their rights, and they told them, you don't have no rights. You're a prisoner of war. Today, people are still prisoners of war within themselves. And I'm sure every soldier will tell you it is not a desired condition to be a prisoner of war. Have you ever talked to a POW? Has anyone in this congregation, under the sound of my voice, ever talked to a prisoner of war? I have. And the stories they tell is unbelievable. You thinking to yourself, this is something I saw in a movie. No, in reality, it's really happened to me. An individual that told me he had an alcoholic addiction. I don't understand that why people are addicted, but the fact is, to the point what he went through, I can see why he went to it. To try to drown that pain out of his mind. Every day, they would break his wrists and his ankles to watch them heal again and do it again. To make this individual confess of some kind of military info they thought he would have of top security. But this prisoner of war, church, did not surrender. And he said, you can beat me till I'm dead. I'll never give up my country. Just expressing a little bit of POWs. I know I said it when I talked a lot about it. But a war that we fight is far greater, whether you believe this or not, within yourself. That's far greater, because to the point you can physically overcome. But when it gets you mentally every day of your life, it seems that people, Sister Wright, have a hard time overcoming that war that's in their mind. Not a war fought with missiles or grenades. Not a war that is fought with tanks or hand-to-hand battle, but a war that is held by complacence, imprisonment by pain, held hostage by hurt. You ever had someone to really hurt you? It's hard to get over. My father-in-law was here today. He can tell you. He fought that, what, 20-something years? I began to preach a message, and he was there in the congregation, Sister Johnson, and God began to talk to his heart and say, look, you need to get over that, pal, if you want to go to heaven. So he came to the point and he asked my dad, my stepfather, please forgive me, I've held something over 20-something years against you. I want to go to heaven. Would you forgive me? My dad had already forgotten about it. He said, well, what was it? He said, matter of fact, it's not important. Let's just move on. Let's move on. So he forgave him and he went on. Man feels a lot better. But that's a war for 22 decades, really. A war that battles within yourself. You start as a soldier of war and you have found yourself a prisoner of war. Watching others fight while you sit on the sidelines. Your burden has been brought down by boredom. Your passion has been replaced by problems. Your calling has been compromised by a career. May I tell you, if Satan has you convinced that you're in a dead, boring church, he has already deceived you. Church is born by you, whether you believe it or not the music department.
Right.
The music department can play just professionally. If you just decide that you just want to, that's you. I'll never forget a group called it, you remember them, Gretchen? End Time Disciples? They would come and they would sing for, you were very, very young, you probably don't. But they would come and they'd sing that one song. Just sit there on the pew. No, you've got pews on. Do the church still have pews? He says, sit there on the pew if you want to. Fuss and fight and gripe your life away. People do that. What causes that, guys? It's the prison that they have allowed themselves to become. Fighting every day. When you desire to serve, Benjamin Franklin has become greater than your desire to serve God. Well, we know who Benjamin Franklin is. Money. It's not money itself that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money. Money will cause people to do things that normally wouldn't do. Money can be a problem from times. But we all, I don't see you can live without it. You got to have money. You got to have money to run a church. You got to have money to run your household. You know, they're just not going to let you guys, just walk free. You got to have money to make it happen. But let it not be your God. Let it not be the prisoner of your war. When picking up your kids for Sunday school has become a labor and not of love, that becomes a prisoner of war to you. To me, I've always told people, I said, look, from time to time, if you're not happy here, please find a place where you are happy. I do not want you to be a prisoner in church. You need to feel your liberty to be able to express your love one to another. And if it has to come to the point where we have to not be with you, but your happiness and you're happy, then hey, let it be. Because your happiness means more to me than a relationship with you. I want people, and it's my job to make sure that people are directed into the right place for their spiritual nurture. In the book of Luke, the 10th chapter, 38th verse through the 42nd verse. I'm about to wrap this up, Brother Garth. Give me about 5-10 more minutes, I'm going to be done. I promise you that. You can take it to the bank. Now it came to pass as they went that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him unto her house. And she said she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? You ever know people like that? Sister, man, I'm doing everything myself. She's over and I'm doing nothing. Oh, come on. Feel sorry for me, please. I'm the center of the attention. But this is what Martha was worried about. And she asks the question, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? Listen, not only was Mary wasn't just an acquaintance of Martha, they were sisters. Man, you get in between two sisters, right? Sister, you got a war going on alone. You just better agree with them and move on. You don't get in family issues. Oh, be it her, therefore, that she helped me. She's telling him, look, tell her to help me. And Jesus answers and says unto her, and the answer that Martha was not expecting. Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. But one thing is needful, and Mary had chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. Because Mary chose to be at the feet of Jesus, to hear the word, to enjoy the word. She wasn't worried about the house being clean. Ladies, y'all are so good about keeping house clean. I'm just enjoying it. I've gone over my daughter's house and her house is so clean. Mice won't stay there because they can't eat nothing off the floor. She'll make sure there's nothing there on the floor. Dust don't even, no, don't take it away from me. Dust doesn't even get to settle. She's a very good housewife. I've been to some other homes. I've been to Sister Hardy's home. You could eat off her floor when she had a home. It was so clean. I'm being serious. I have been at Sister Lonnie's house, and oh, man. I'm like, Lonnie, at least, let it get dirty. Oh, I can't do that. She's so clean. Not only is her house clean, but the exterior of her home, as far as like the yard. Memo tells on her, she says, man, son, as soon as she comes home, she's cutting the grass, she's trimming. You can tell the love that she has for her home. And Lonnie is she's just so cautious. I mean, it's, in her mind, it was probably taught to her from a young lady up. You take care, even though you don't have much, but take care of what you got. Well, we find Martha in the same way. And like, Martha, look, house clean has got to stop when Jesus shows up. Right? Because what is more important? Getting your spiritual need. There are times that people come to church, Sister Wright. The pastor is preaching, or whoever is preaching the word. The word is going forth, and the thing that they're thinking, oh, how's that bill going to get paid? Release your mind. Put the bill payment beyond the door. When you're walking through the door, don't worry about it. That bill will take care of it. So it ain't going nowhere. You're still going to owe it whether you're here or not. You know what I'm saying? Oh, my lands. My car broke down. I don't know how many times, Brother Hornsby, being a young minister as I was, okay? I wasn't always a pastor. And I would come to church, and in the middle of it, right now it's still happening to me. Right now, I have no idea what's wrong with my car. I have no idea. Now, I could sit upstairs. I've got, God's blessed us with ministers. I can have either one of them come preach. And I can sit up there. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can sit and feel sorry for myself, sit in this corner and just... Something you can do. It's beyond your control. God will take care of it, man. Let it go.
That's right.
I've got sickness in my life. You don't understand, Pastor. Listen, I'm telling you, the Bible is full of people that are witnesses, Sister Johnson, that were healed of sickness. There ain't nothing that's happening in your life that's blowing Jesus off the front.
Right.
Well, they're coming to get my house. Okay, take it. This is the only thing that's holding me to my relationship with Christ. Take it. They're coming to get my car. It happens. I'm embarrassed. Who ain't? I've had it happen, Sister Trent. I was on a job, I'll never forget, I was delivering pizza. They came and repossessed my car. You don't make payments, they'll repossess your car.
That's
It happened. And I was delivering pizzas. Well, there goes my day.
There goes your job.
Yeah. That was nice. I was in a Gran Torino. You ever seen a Gran Torino with a 4 block?
Yes.
Man, you know what I'm talking about, bro? With that baby up. It made cops nervous when I went in through the neighborhood. You can hear me. I'm delivering pizza. I made sure they got their pizza. You guys probably don't know, Papa John, one of their first stores were on Preston, right there in front of Southern High School. That was a Chinese restaurant there. But I worked there. And I had a a Dodge Charger. Oh, I love that thing. It had a hood scoop with 400 block underneath. Man, every time I lit that thing up. But I didn't make a payment. And they came and took it. I said, hey, I heard it while I was making pizza, Sister Medic. I heard them ripping it up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, there goes my car. Mr. Mackowiak, you're 4 months behind. I am?
It's in the mail.
They didn't care. They didn't care. They had no sympathy because I was working at a pizza place. Back then, you know, at a pizza place, you're only making like $2 an hour. The rest of it's tips. If you don't make tips and you don't get that pizza there, you're going to starve. Oh. That's a war within myself, man. Well, I've learned quite a bit. But still, even though I've learned quite a bit, it still happens. I got a car out there that's broke down. Nothing changes. Because maybe my position or because who I am has changed. Brother Hornsby, we still going to deal with breakdown cars.
Yep.
I'm being honest with you. You could go buy a brand new car and somebody come along with no insurance, hit it, smack it, destroy it. And there you go.
Yep. What happened?
It happens all the time. It is a war that we build within ourselves. Music company. It is the war that we build within ourselves. A battle, day in and day out. I know Sister Jones, she's dealing with you. Come on, baby, come. I need you to come. I need to, you know, I'm tired of it. I said, last Wednesday, I said, oh my gosh, she looks so exhausted. Looks like she ran a marathon and didn't get no breath. And I told her, I said, are you okay, sir? She said, Pastor, I can't get no rest. I said, Jesus' name, baby, come on. Give that girl some rest. I know you're not getting no rest, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Every time I call, he's asleep.
You gonna lie in church?
Now, I'm going to ask Brother Horns.
I had to wake him up the other day, brother.
Are you mad at us?
I got to sleep. I don't see him but once a week. So
Ain't that good?
Good job now.
A battle that's within. I was thought to myself, I'm like, you know, children got it made. They really do. Austin's got it made. He's got it made for Shepherdsville. He has no bills to worry about. The only thing Austin has to worry about is making sure mom's got lunch and dinner ready. Mom. Because if you're going to depend on Dad, you're going to starve. You're going to die. Oh, Dad, oh.
Yeah, come on.
She said, no. Hey, thanks, James.
Some men know how to do it, brother.
She said, hey, I was giving you props, Sister Lisa.
I have to have help. I'm not homeless like he is.
I know Brother George, I know he cooks. But my point was, kids that are young, like Kim and Lucas and Drew and Jonathan and
Noah.
Noah, Bella, these kids really don't have a care in the world. They don't have to worry about if the light goes out, Mom and Dad will take care of it, right, guys?
Yes, they will.
You ain't out there paying that bill. If something goes wrong, you ain't got nothing to worry about. It's gonna, you know, Mom and Dad take care of it. It's all gonna be good. My point is, if they're not concerned, you serve a God that will take care of your needs. Why can't you just be like Austin, Kim, Lucas, Bella, Ruth, and say, hey, Mecca, my God takes care of it. I ain't got nothing to worry about. You and your husband start struggling sometimes financially, your God will take care of you, girl. You ain't got nothing to worry about. God's going to take care of you. Sing, sis.
My God can do it all.
Wednesday nights will start to be held here in the sanctuary. We're going to start holding it in the sanctuary again. We're going to do this for a while, but we still are going to have refreshments right after. It seems to work very, very well. But as wisdom, you know, you don't want to feed someone, then bring them in here. Unless you guys will be catching a nap. So, we're going to continue on with our lessons that we have. I've got a couple more weeks, I believe, left of the one that I was talking about. Then I'm going to start opening it to some of the ministers and getting them back on track again to help on Wednesday nights, and some will be doing on Sunday as well. some ministers can't make it on Wednesday night, so I'm not going to rob them of that. It's not fair. But we're getting to the point where I've been feeling led by God to make some changes, and our ministers are going to take more responsibilities than what they have on their shoulders anyway. And that should be in agreement. And it's not that I'm taking any lack of responsibility, I'm just moving into a higher plane. We'll get more into that later throughout the year, throughout a couple of years of life, what's going on. Be in prayer for Apostolic Church of Restoration. We want to see a great growth. Listen, I am pleased of everyone that is here. And if we could get everyone here, we have a good, a big crowd. But it happens, and that's just fluctual. And I'm learning every day, Sister Hornsby, that pastoring a church, you got to be flexible. It just comes. It comes, it goes. Some days you have life, some days you have this. But those that are here is what is important. Is that correct? Sister Johnson, come up and do our building fund. She didn't have to remind me today. And we appreciate what she's doing. Sister Johnson.